Well, I finally broke down and watched Halloween Kills. I had not seen the 2018 Halloween film, so I had to watch that as well. So I'll discuss both films in this, as it's going to be this new trilogy. They have a third film on the way called Halloween Ends. And so I guess I'll have to watch that too. But I was pretty much burnt out on the whole idea. Going back over the John Carpenter films, and I started with the original Halloween, I've pretty much come to the conclusion that there really is only one Halloween film. I liked Halloween 2. I still do. I like the aspects of it, doing its best that it can to pick up right where the previous one left off and all of that stuff. But its biggest mistake is it took away the mystery of Michael Myers, in that they tried to explain him. And that's the problem that you get in later films, certainly with the Rob Zombie films, which at this point I just don't even count those at all. I mean, right now, the way it is, especially with the new films and whatnot, you have to conclude that there's a multiverse of Michael Myers. There's different divergent timelines. So even the second film begins a divergence from the timeline, Then you had all the other Halloween films that I'm trying to think. I've seen all the films at least once. So those other films, they do have their following, and but it was getting too far afield. And then they did the reunion one, which was sort of okay, Halloween Water. The follow-up to that one I didn't like at all. I can barely even remember how that one ended. And then the zombie film, which are Rob Zombie's take on it, especially the first one. The second one was just not watchable at all, but the first one, it goes overboard with trying to explain Michael Myers. It's just another serial killer, really. It took away it and still had the supernatural elements in it, which is kind of, well, make up your mind, So like the first film, it's the part of the scary elements of it is the mystery of Michael Myers. He's not even really Michael Myers. He's the shape, and that's it. He's just this force of evil that just keeps killing, and you're left with no explanations, which is more of the disturbing elements of the film as to why this happened. And it starts when he's a little boy and all that sort of thing. So here we jump ahead to the first reunion kind of fizzles. So let's go back and do it again after some rights disputes or whatever, and they do the 2018 movie. Which, seeing it, I wasn't all that wowed by it. There's some okay scenes here and there that's kind of interesting. Basically, the whole thing is the fault of these idiot British podcasters. You can sense the mask, can't you, Michael? Because Michael. So this one, it picks up as a sequel to the original film. The Halloween 2 didn't happen, and so here you are. And there's even a line where they say, well, there's a lot of myths about, Laurie Strode and Michael being brother and sister. I said, nah, that's just some myth that, got thrown out there and stuff like that. So that's how they deal with that. And so basically, the original movie happened, and then he got arrested. He got captured by the police and put back in the asylum. And so Dr. Loomis is long dead, and he's got this new doctor. And then right off the bat, there's this scene with the podcasters, stirring things up. All the other inmates are freaking out with their confrontation with old Michael Myers. And he pulls out the mask from his satchel and says, "You want to see it, don't you, Michael?" And all this sort of stuff. He's trying to get Michael to say something. And the doctor's all for this that he has now. And it's like, what the hell? That's so unprofessional. They do explain this. The doctor is, it turns out he's a villain. He's completely obsessed with Michael. And boy, I tell you, it reminds me of an old Spider-Man storyline. Because you see, after Norman Osborn died, yes, he died. He did. He was probably a more important character dead than he ever was alive. But then his son, Harry Osborn, became the new Green Goblin, went crazy and all this stuff. And then he got captured. And then his psychiatrist is treating him, but he becomes obsessed with the idea of the Green Goblin and becomes the Green Goblin himself. So they pretty much ripped that off. So this psychiatrist wants to be, he even puts on the mask at one point. And well, he's just an idiot, and Michael kills him, of course. But that, so it, there's things like that. There's some elements of it they do okay, but a lot of it is just, what's the point? You have the revenge fantasy stuff for Laurie Strode. She's become a survivalist. Her whole house is a death trap for whenever Michael comes back, and she's just been waiting for this for 40 years. Broke up her relationship with her daughter, trying to train her to be a survivalist and all this stuff. So now it's like she has a granddaughter now, and she's being introduced to all this. And there's some elements, it's not bad. It's just, I just don't see the point. There's really nothing here that's like, oh wow, I understand why you did this, and other than just, hey, let's squeeze some stuff out of this franchise. And I guess it worked okay for people. Seem to it came out for it, and they certainly came out for this one. Of course, we're in this era now where people are hungry for movies that are just dumb fun. I think that explains Venom, which is a pretty bad movie. And sick of the woke crap. Despite Jamie Lee Curtis's best efforts of proving that she's in with the in crowd, another sad example of an old actor desperately trying to appeal to the cool kids with her statements. But there's really nothing like that in here. I guess if you wanted to pick her son-in-law is just a bungling idiot and gets killed, and so it's up to the girls to save the day. 3 generations of Strodes, and so they do, and that's how it ends. Seemingly that's it for Michael. Well, the second movie, Halloween Kills, is kind of, in a lot of ways, works as a bit of a tribute to the second movie. It's kind of this, Laurie's taken to the hospital. Although Michael never gets to the hospital in this one. They have a guy they think is Michael, and they do this bit about vigilanteism getting out of hand, and they end up causing the death of some poor mental patient. They think it's Michael, but he isn't, and stuff like that. And that's so there's your lesson, I guess. It's just sort of slapped in, led by Tommy from the original movie. He's all grown up now, and evil must die tonight, and so they all get riled up about this. And people try to hunt down Michael, and to their detriment, and all of that. They go back to the old house. There's this gay couple living there, and it doesn't end well for them. So on and so forth. And ultimately, you think, oh, the granddaughter is going to deal with this, and then it ends up being the daughter pulling the same move she did in the previous movie, where she tricks Michael into another trap, and the whole mob attacks him. But then Laurie's in the hospital. All of a sudden, after 40 years, she suddenly realized there's no way really to kill Michael. He's a force of evil. It just falls apart at this point. The whole thing she's been doing, she just now figures this out. After everything he survived. Well, yeah, he got shot several times by Loomis in the first movie. He falls down. He survives that, and he survives Laurie's house being burnt down, and it doesn't quite work. There's some cool aspects of it. Halloween Kills has some cooler stuff in it. In how they recreate 1978. They do this for the character of Officer Hawkins, who was a deputy at the time in 1978, and he's still on the police force now, but they tell his story where he accidentally killed his partner trying to kill Michael, and they just decide, they cover it up for him and all that stuff, and it's always been hanging on him. And there's, I guess, a budding romance between him and Laurie at this point, which, it's fine. But they're the ones who ends up with the dialogue about, well, he's just a force of evil and you can't stop him. And then kind of sort of connect that to the idea that Michael's evil has forced people to become monsters like him. Not really. Is this, he feeds on your fear, I guess? Well, he's trying to kill you. It's gonna have, I don't know. They just didn't have any ideas. They had some cool stuff. Like I said, the recreations of 1978, they did pretty good, more or less. And some eerie, cool scenes of him returning to the house, but it's the kind of thing where the strength of the Michael Myers story, such that it is that you don't know who he is, really. You don't know what this is about. You don't know. He's a mystery and all that, and he's a killing force. That means the story's over. So Halloween ends. Oh, what are they going to do? Find some... Oh, if you have the magical amulet, it will kill him. No, if you kill him in his home, in his house, then he'll die for good. Or maybe some dumb thing like that. But it's like... It's best to have been left alone. The only, I guess, saving grace here is, John Carpenter gets paid. So there's that. And they're working it to restore that he is this mysterious force of nature, being evil, I guess. And that's all he is, as it would appear to be the case of the first movie's intent. And okay, but that's acknowledging there's really no story left to tell. The initial story is the one. It ends with him disappearing, and it leaves on that haunting, scary note, and you can hear his breathing, and initially that he's everywhere, and the boogeyman's out there. The end, and that's it, So, other than some cool scenes and some nods to the movie. I mean, there's a scene where Michael and Laurie fight, and Michael throws her off the top of her house, and she hits the ground, and she's very much in the position he was in the first movie at the end. He gets distracted, then he turns to look back at her, and she's gone. So that got a chuckle out of me, It's simple and obvious, but that's it. That's all there is to it. But if you liked it, you liked it. You had a good time, and that's about it. But I really don't see that there's any ideas here that shows, oh, look, you didn't think of this. This could be a cool pathway. And to be honest, I think people have tried that over the years, and no one's come up with anything. So as far as I'm concerned, Halloween ended in 1978, despite my liking Halloween too, but that should have been it too. I mean, he exploded. Dr. Loomis died too. It's over and they tried to get it back to what it was supposed to be, this anthology series with Season of the Witch, but it just didn't take. And they wanted a Jason Voorhees and Freddy Krueger franchise with Michael Myers, and that's what they've been pursuing ever since. And so there it is, but at least Voorhees just embraced it immediately, almost, with what that's about. He's going to kill a bunch of people, and they'll beat him maybe at the end, and he'll come back again. And Freddy, of course, was, in your nightmares, literally. So, and then there's plenty of others. But really, I mean, even though Michael Myers did, in a lot of ways, certainly with Friday the 13th, inspired these 80s monsters, his story in and of itself ends with one movie, and it's pretty much complete in that aspect, and I don't think there's any other story to tell. So anyway, there we are with Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills, with one more on the way. But I mean, sure, I've watched the first two, so I guess I'll watch that one too, but I don't know. I'm just not anticipating any great wonders for the Halloween franchise. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness, so many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.